Wanted to go over a few things with you guys. The first thing I want to go over is what they suggested. See, they're upset now that I listen to what they say and then I tell you about it and talk about it because they said, well, that defeats the purpose. These are stories they collected, they said, to fill up my memory bank, because what they said, this was supposed to guilt me into feeling things. So they're trying to come up with stories that someone, when I was a kid, wrote down about me. Creepy. And then someone in my elementary school wrote down about me. Creepy. They said my high school did it. I know my high school didn't do it because I can tell by the story. So one of the things they said was that I asked my teacher in art class in high school whether to make it darker, you add more lines to it. That's something that if people draw in pen, people do that automatically. I wouldn't have to ask my teacher. Plus, we didn't draw in pen. So I know that that's not something my teacher would have told me because we were drawing in pencil. I like to draw in pen. I'm uploading a video now of the projects that I did today. And I'm not going to sell those because it didn't turn out right. And I asked my mom's opinion and she agrees. But I'm going to sell some other artwork. And if you're interested, please check out BargainBusterBin on eBay. Okay, so the other story they said was years ago. This would have been maybe between 2004 to 2006, some years and years ago. So we're talking about what, almost 20 years ago. They said that I was in the cafeteria at my job and there were guys talking, and they were talking in general about a celebrity's husband and saying that he's not gay. And they said that I told my elementary schoolmate, who I now call the sociopath, about this story. And this is my point. It seems like they are concerned about what I told the elementary schoolmate before all of this recent stuff, because they tried to say that she was like my best friend. She wasn't my best friend. I told you about why she isn't and was not my best friend. And what's so strange about it is that they said that after that, they thought I would go into like celebrity gossip, write about celebrity gossip. And it's strange because I would have to know celebrity gossip to write about celebrity gossip. So they were like, didn't you read websites? If I'm reading a website where someone else writes about celebrity gossip, I could not then write about the celebrity gossip that I read online. I mean, nobody cares about that. Nobody wants someone to write about the celebrity gossip that they read by somebody else online. I mean, first of all, you wouldn't make any money that way. Like, could you imagine I'm reading like some famous celebrity gossip columnist or blogger, and then I write the same thing that person wrote? I mean, come on. We I think what I'm getting to the point is, I'm getting to the point where it's just so stupid to me that I can't understand. People they said they paid $1 million for this. You paid $1 million for this stupidness? So they said, well, we want to know how you would craft an argument. Not like this. Not like this. It's ridiculous. So they're like, well, we at least achieved something. We outed you as a filthy person. And that's my point. Like, how would they define filthy? Like, what's their definition of filthy? The way they behave, I think that they're filthy. I mean, what exactly are we going to craft an argument about the definition of filthy? So they're like, well, people believe us over you. Wow. So people will believe your lies over the truth? Then that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? So they said, well, we thought, again, they don't think. This was about not just harassing me, but disabling me. And they said, it makes them look tougher than I am, because they thought I could get a group of people together. And some way they phrased it, that sounds like what gangs would say. Like getting a group of people, gang, to then go against them. Like fight them. That's a gang. I'm 49. If I had a gang, first of all, I would have had to have had a gang before 49. By 49, I don't think people form gangs. I would have had to have had some sort of gang contact prior to 49 years old. But even if I had a gang prior to 49, at 49, I would hope we would no longer be a gang. But I didn't have a gang back then. So what they were saying was, they said they thought for sure, like they were positive that I was hanging out. I can't even say this with a straight face. At Skate Key when I was a teenager. Now, that gets to the point. So when I was a teenager in the 80s, people roller skated. And it was like a treat to go to Skate Key. Or there was another one. There was a Skate Key and there was a Star or something like that. And they were in different places. And they were far from me. I didn't live close to it. So if I got to go there, we had to, first of all, you have to pay to get in. I don't know how. I was a kid. I wouldn't have been able to afford to go to Skate Key a lot. But when I went, it was like a treat because you had to pay to get in. And even the days, they were like, well, there were days when it was free to get in. You had to pay for your skates. So it was never free. Like you would go there and you get free admission, but then you pay for your skates and then you would pay for your drinks or whatever. Because when I went there, I wanted like drinks and so forth. I wasn't just going to go to skate. I was going to go there to like hang out with my little friends, and we didn't go a lot. So we wasn't like I had the luxury of being a kid and going a lot. We would go. My mom took me there with a group of my friends for my birthday one time, or maybe twice. But we went as, you know, so we weren't there hanging out. So they're like, oh, we were sure you were the one hanging out at night at Skate Key. No, first of all, there was also an age requirement at a certain point because they didn't want a bunch of us little kids hanging out there. But that goes back to the bigger story. The bigger story is that if I had been cool enough to hang out and have my own roller skates and be able to get in as a kid, because at night they would have it for adults, I wouldn't be in this position. That's my point. I just don't understand why they don't think that way. So if I was cool enough to know celebrity gossip on my own and not like read something or see some entertainment show, or cool enough to have been in a child gang or something like that, I wouldn't be doing these videos like this. I would have been the person they wanted me to be, which was to have my own little gang against their gang. But I was not involved in gangs. And I was not hanging out at roller skating rinks when I was a kid. I think Star roller skating closed maybe before I ended high school. I ended high school at 17. So, and Skate Key, they weren't open that long after I, became old enough to have gone in as an adult. So I would have been a kid. Like, can you imagine? I wasn't a kid hanging out at all. I wasn't hanging out as a kid. So I don't understand why they keep coming up with these new stories. The last point I want to make about that is that, they keep trying to include me with a group. They said this group of kids that used to hang out when I was I'm almost a year younger than the elementary schoolmate because she was born in February. I was born in December. So when I turn my age, she turns her age by February because I was born in December. So I wasn't old enough to do a lot of things that she could do. I couldn't even do the summer youth program with her because I was younger. So the idea that I was hanging out with a group of these kids, hanging out at Skate Key, going different places, and not only was I younger, but I looked young. Like, I'm 49, and some people think I'm younger than 49. Some people think I'm much older. But when I was a teenager, I looked young. I have some pictures of me up when I was a teenager. I looked young. I was not getting past, the adult group. So they said, oh, when you were in high school, didn't you go to a club for like your prom as an alternative for prom? We had like a kid night because it was prom time. So prom time, they let a bunch of kids go in because they knew like a high school seniors would want to come in for prom. So I wasn't getting away with like looking so much older. I didn't look older, and I probably didn't start to really age until this whole thing happened and they started hitting me with stuff. So that answers a lot of their suggested things. But my whole thing, when I like to wrap up their suggestions, is that it's like they're trying to force me to be someone I'm not. And I think it does involve gangs, definitely a criminal organization. They said they thought I was, I can't think of the word they used, but like somebody who would kind of let certain things slide. No, because I would have been the one who gets blamed for it. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted me to be the one that kind of lets things slide, like turn a blind eye to things. And then they would blame everything on me because I wouldn't have known, you know, what they're talking about pretty much. So that's why I had to make sure to tell you guys that I'm not the one who's going to turn a blind eye to this.